Hi, my name is Amy, and I'm the founder of Vibrance Nutrition and Fitness and Fat Loss with Vibrance. Welcome to my Fit and Slim Kitchen. I'm going to be sharing my spontaneous recipes of the moment, things that I make in the evening or at lunchtime to help keep me trim and fit and energized for my workouts. It's my hope and my intention that these videos will help you feel more comfortable creating a fat loss kitchen for your fat loss lifestyle, that you will become liberated from following recipes and feeling the freedom and excitement that comes from just kind of getting in the kitchen, getting your hands dirty, and making magic with food. Making your food taste delicious and wonderful, but having it fall in line with your goals for your physique and your performance. Let's get started. Alright, so tonight for dinner I'm going to try my hand at Chile Verde. I've never made Chile Verde before, so this is new for me as well. And what I did is I took several recipes that I found online and kind of morphed them into my own creation. And this is normally what I do because I find if I follow a recipe by the books, at the end of the meal I think like, oh, it would have been better with this or that or the other. So I tend to look at several recipes first, mix and match, create my own, and go with the flow from there and see how it turns out. So what I've done is I'm going to do a slow cooker Chile Verde because I have errands to do and I don't want to sit and wait for this thing to cook on the stove for 2.5 hours. I'm going to plug it in and let it go while I go about my business. Chile Verde typically uses pork shoulder, and pork shoulder is a fattier form of pork. So what I'm doing instead is I took a pork loin roast. You can use a tenderloin if you like. I just used 2 pounds of loin roast, top loin, and I diced it up, trimming the little bit of fat that's on the top. So this is a leaner option that I'm choosing. And then I took a Serrano chili and 2 poblano chilies. They're often called pasilla in the grocery store, so either a pasilla, P-A-S-I-L-L-A, or poblano will work for this. And then 2 pounds of tomatillo chilies. And tomatillo chilies look like tomatillos look like green tomatoes, and they have this like capery husk on the outside. You want to peel that husk off. Underneath the husk is this sticky substance, and you just wash that off, and then you have tomatillos. And that's the foundation of any green salsa, of Chile Verde. It adds a nice tartness to it, and it's a really lovely vegetable to work with. Well, actually, I suppose it may be a fruit. And I took, anyway, so I have 2 poblanos, a Serrano chili, 2 pounds of tomatillos, and then I put 3 cloves of garlic. If you really like garlic, go ahead and bump it up to 5 or 6 cloves. I won't hold it against you. I took all of that and threw it in the broiler at 500 degrees and let them brown for about 7 minutes. And so you can see here the tomatillo has this nice brown skin on it. My chilies are soft, and they have a little bit of browning there as well. So I've roasted these guys. I didn't bother peeling because I don't want to take the time to do that. I already consider this an extra step, especially with the slow cooker recipe where I would prefer to just throw everything in the pot and run. But this is the basis of my sauce. Now, if you don't have a Vitamix, you'll probably want to take these chilies and chop them up. A blend tech, from my understanding, will also be very good at taking large chunks of vegetable matter and pureeing it. If you tend to prefer your chilies less spicy, be sure to seed your chilies before you throw them in here. I'm going to experiment with what it's like to leave the seeds in. I may regret that. I don't know. We'll find out. And then we're just going to put in all of this yummy roasted vegetable matter and turn this baby on to make my sauce. And you know what? Just to make it even simpler for myself, I'm going to add my spices in now. So I'm going to take 1 tablespoon of oregano. Oregano is a classic Mexican herb. They grow it in their homes, use it in so much, and it also is used as a condiment. to sprinkle directly onto soup, especially menudo, which is the national Mexican hangover cure, in case you're interested. You ever have a hangover, go to a Mexican restaurant that serves menudo, and it'll take care of it. 1 teaspoon of cumin. If you're watching closely, you'll notice that I'm not really exact with this either. I just kind of stick it in there, eyeball it, and go with it. And then 1 teaspoon of coriander. So I've got a teaspoon of coriander, a teaspoon of cumin, 1 tablespoon of oregano, and I'm going to put some salt and pepper in there. Little Himalayan sea salt. It's my favorite. I always use sea salt in the kitchen because it has extra trace minerals that you don't find from regular salt or even a refined sea salt. So you want to look for like a Himalayan or a Celtic sea salt. It'll give you extra minerals from the ocean that have been refined out of a refined sea salt. And then Morton salt is basically created in a laboratory. It has never seen the ocean. So I generally don't use that. It's never in my kitchen anyway. All right, so I'm going to turn this on and make my sauce. And that's that. I love the Vitamix. All right, here's my slow cooker pot. So into the slow cooker, I'm going to put in this sauce, my Chile Verde sauce. Look at how green that is. So much yummy. It smells really good too. I've got bone broth here that I made a few months ago and put in the freezer. I've thawed this out. Add 2 cups of broth. Oh shoot. I'm going to put all this back in the Vitamix because I forgot to add cilantro to the sauce. This is my Julia Child moment, right? Alright. So again, because I have a Vitamix, I'm just going to take this whole thing, throw it in there, and not worry about it. Done! Love it. Okay, so now I have my sauce. To that, I'm going to add 1 diced onion, and then my pork top loin roast, 2 pounds. And I took the roast, I diced it, I cubed it up into little bite-sized cubes, and I sauteed it in coconut oil until it was browned on all sides, just to seal in the moistness of the meat. So all of this now is in my slow cooker. I'm going to stick this in the crock pot, and I'm going to cook it on low for 3 hours. If you don't have a slow cooker, you can cook this on the stovetop for about 2 to 2.5 hours, up to 3 hours on the stovetop, on low, obviously, and it'll turn out just the same. So I hope you enjoyed this cleaned up Chile Verde, and I'm looking forward to dinner tonight. Alright, so here's the finished product, lean and mean Chile Verde. I ended up actually cooking this for 8 hours instead of 3 hours. At the 3-hour point, it was done, the taste was good, the flavor was good, the meat was still a little bit tough, and that's because, again, I used the pork loin roast rather than a pork shoulder, which is fattier. So I went and took it a little bit longer, cooked it for 8 hours. That dried out the meat a little bit. Might be a problem for some people, not for others. So here's what I would do in the future. One, if I want something that's more authentic, or if I'm having I'm in maintenance mode, I'd go for the pork shoulder. The extra fat at that point, is something that I would want and value. The other thing that I would do is I would actually take this and blend it up if I want to stick with a more lean meat like a tenderloin or a loin roast, and blend it so that way the meat is almost shredded. That, coupled with the sauce, makes it a little bit less dry to the palate. The recipe itself, the flavor turned out great. This is definitely one I would make again, just a little bit differently, cooking it a little bit longer. It also mellowed out the sauce and really brought some depth of flavor when I extended the cooking time in the slow cooker out by 5 more hours. So definitely go longer rather than shorter on the Lean and Mean Chile Verde.